Vamos a estar grabando desde ya esta sesión esta noche, entonces si no quieren salir pueden apagar su video. También si no quieren que se escuche su voz puede escribir sus intervenciones en el chat.
Hello, here we are. Thank you, Haley.
Welcome, Sergio.
Hola, Jose. Hola, Eugenia.
And Sergio, we have Susan here who is our interpreter.
Ah, excellent. Hola, Susan. How are you? I'll keep one language though.
Hi.
Oh, you're muted.
Buenas tardes también, Sergio. Yes, that would be very helpful if people would not go back and forth between English and Spanish. I can keep up, but the listeners can't, so.
Yeah, we're all planning on all presenting in English and then directing people to the Spanish page or however you're going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Entonces, todas las presentaciones se van a realizar en inglés y para las personas que desean escuchar en español, vamos a explicar cómo escuchar la interpretación en breves minutos.
Thanks everyone for joining us. We see 25 people here. We're very happy that you're joining our session. This is one more session of Latino Conservation Week, and we will share with you some stories of travels and families. Thank you all for being here.
Buenas tardes a todo el mundo. Esta es otra sesión en la Semana de Conservación Latina y vamos a estar compartiendo historias sobre viajes y familias.
Thank you. All right. So are we good to go, Haley? Thumbs up? Excellent. And Susan, would you like me to stop every so often for the interpretation?
So we are going to enable simultaneous interpreting, but I need to explain that and then Haley will turn it on. So we need to have a minute to do that with the second slide.
Excellent.
Entonces ahorita vamos a explicar cómo van a accesar la interpretación. So this is Windows or Mac. Okay. Once the interpretation is turned on, you will see a button at the bottom of your screen, and you will be able to click that says interpretation. You'll click on that, and you will choose which channel you prefer to listen in, either English or Spanish. Entonces, una vez que se habilite la interpretación, van a ver un globo al fondo de la página, de la pantalla, y van a hacer clic en ese globo. Haga clic también en el idioma que quisiera escuchar, o inglés o español. También, si no quieren escuchar el audio original, puede hacer clic en Mute Original Audio, que es poner el audio original en silencio. Entonces, es muy importante escoger un canal, o inglés o español, desde el botón que diga interpretación. So, it's very important to pick a channel to listen in, either English or Spanish, from the interpretation button. So, Haley, you can go ahead and turn the interpretation on, and then there will be simultaneous interpretation after that. Entonces, una vez que Haley habilite la interpretación, va a haber interpretación simultánea desde el inglés hacia el español. Gracias. Go ahead, Haley.
I think I need to stop my screen share really quick to do that.
So,
okay. Now folks can choose if they would like to listen in English or in Spanish, and I will start my screen share again.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I would like to start by welcoming everyone to our session, Migration is Natural. This is one more session as part of Latino Conservation Week, a celebration throughout the week organized and hosted by Hispanic Access Fund. And in this session, we will be talking to you about stories and work to protect monarch butterflies and also learn about migration throughout North America. Welcome everybody, thank you for being here. I would like to introduce our presenters in the panel. We have Maria Eugenia Gonzalez, who is a biologist and educator from Mexico City. No problem, Haley, no problem. I gotcha. I know what's going on. Let me introduce Jose so we can move to that slide. Jose Ramos is an English teacher and educator. Jose is an administrator and creator of a page called Universo Masawa, which is a project to make visible and rescue and strengthen the language and the culture of Masawa people. He will tell us more about it. Now I'm going to introduce Maria Eugenia Gonzalez, who is a biologist and a researcher and educator from the National University of Mexico. She is a founder of the organization Ecosistemica and will be sharing some of her work about monarch butterfly conservation. She is also the president of the Monarch Butterfly Conservation Monitoring Network. And myself, I am Sergio Avila. I am also a wildlife biologist. I am located in Tucson, Arizona, and I work for the local outdoors program at the Sierra Club. I would love to start with Jose. So Jose, it's all you. Welcome.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes, okay, well, I'm going to start with the introductory presentation. The monarch butterflies and the Mazahua in Mexico. Let me introduce myself. Next slide, please. Okay, I will introduce myself in my mother tongue, the Masawa. This is important because some people from the Masawa region will listen to this presentation and they will see the presentation as well. Kimi zé, Kimi sangu, habi yasu, inchus goe Jose, ni mesmo a ni goñato a jafu, bibubu a ponro, a mano nun renjonge sillo no yontes ora bubu, Ritzenguatsuhi, Teshe Yonte ko Yerehi, Nen Kanrahi, Nunupaya, Nuya, Rahiskome, Yoshe Pekano Homanyak. Well, basically, that's the introduction. You have the translated part in English on the slide. Next presentation, next slide, please. Well, we'll go over the monarch butterfly in Mazahua. We say, next slide, please. Well, as you may already know, our ancestors and the monarch butterflies have a connection, a very strong connection. In Mazahua, we say, Yonte ko mikara mihingwa ne yohepe. Basically, we know that all the indigenous communities, not only in Mexico, but in Canada and the United States, had a strong relationship with the monarch butterflies. So next slide, please. Well, as you can see here, we are very familiar and we see that our indigenous civilizations had the strong connection with the monarch butterflies. Archaeological discoveries and Asian manuscripts have familiarized us with the significance of the butterflies for Hispanic cultures. And this is very prominent as a symbolic ritual. And it's present in objects of daily use. As you can see here, we have many civilizations, but some of them, some of the most important ones in Mexico We have the Tolteca. As you can see here on the Tolteca image, we have breastplates of the Tula warriors. And that's something that these people thought was important and significant for them. On the next image, we have a set of 4 images. These are butterfly designs, and these belong to the Maya civilization. These were really important because they were present in a lot of things of daily use, like nose dresses, frescoes, and their temples. And then we have the Teotihuacan culture. They reproduce the butterflies on flat stamps and as well as ceramic pieces. And this was part of their ceremonial representation as well. And finally, for the Aztecs, this was also important for this culture, as they thought that the butterflies had a very important role in our society. And they had Xochiquetzal. This is the goddess of happiness, the flowers and the housework. And this was represented with a human face, as you can see, and the arms and the body had the wings of a butterfly. For the early Mexicans, they were very knowledgeable about the butterflies. They were familiar with the life cycles and the different species. They were even familiar with the different stages of the metamorphosis. And these people were in order to be able to distinguish the different types of butterflies. They used to group the species of butterflies, taking into account their habits or the colors. And some other groups, indigenous groups, classified the butterflies in relation to their myths, legends. So in ancient times, the butterfly legends and myths were very popular. It's important to mention this because there's a strong connection from ancient times. This is not something new. We are trying to protect these insects, and it's really important. For the Aztecs, for instance, they believed the butterflies were in charge of taking warrior souls who died in battle, or those people who were sacrificed, and the souls of women who died giving birth to the rest in peace. So it was very important. On the negative, well, some other cultures believe that the butterflies have a negative impact in their society. So the first one is dark brown butterflies. There were different myths. The dark brown butterflies were very popular and abundant during the months of July through September, and often they rested on the house walls. So many people believe that these butterflies appeared on sick person's home, and it probably meant that the person would die. So that was the main reason why some of the Asian civilizations didn't want to be in touch with dark brown butterflies, because they thought that they could cause illnesses. So that's important. Masawa culture. And there are also very important and significant indigenous legends as well related to the monarch butterfly. In my community, there are claims that the monarch butterflies are the souls of the children who have died and they return. It's very interesting to see that the butterflies start arriving at their sanctuary on the 2nd of November, basically to celebrate. This is the date when we celebrate the Day of the Death. So during the first days of November, we see that the monarch butterflies arrive to the Masawa region. There are some other interesting legends from Asian civilizations. One is closely related to the migration of indigenous people who migrated from the Rocky Mountains to the center of Mexico. According to the legend, there was an intense cold. The children and the elderly continued trip, and they were left behind. So what they did was to protect themselves, to cover their bodies with tree resin and pollen. At that moment, their god appeared and felt sorry for them. So he turned them into butterflies. This is very touching, so that they could fly and find their home. So they finally were able to arrive to Mexico. So from that legend, some civilizations think that the forests of the state of Mexico and Michoacan represent the parents who are still waiting for the elderly and the children with open arms. So basically this is the introductory part on how the monarch butterflies have an impact on the Asian civilizations. Now we will move forward with the monarchs and the Masawa. Next slide, please. Well, we have a question in Masawa. Kungeko Yonyapru. Who are the Masawa? Well, the Masawas are a group of indigenous people. Here you have a picture of a Masawa woman, and then you have a map. Then right above the map, you have a text written in Masawa. 2019 was the year of international languages. And in the Masawa culture, we have poets, writers, activists, and people who are fighting a lot to preserve and our indigenous heritage. Basically, what you have here is the text in Masawa, and there is the text translated into Spanish. This was a speech Fausto Guadarrama, he's a Masawa poet. You see here on the map is the Masawa territory in 1864, based obviously on descriptions by colonial historians and previous Mexican, English, and French studies that took place in Mexico. So next slide, please. Now what you have here, well, it's a brief description of the Masawas. Masawa is one of the oldest ethnic groups that have continuously inhabited the Mexican Central Plateau or the Central Valley of Mexico. The Masawa language is classified within the Otomangan language group, and it's closely related to the Otomi. So there is a larger population of Otomis in Mexico. So we are closely related to them. Masawa is a word now that's another indigenous language, and for this word means deer people or the owner of deer. But we, the Masawas, call ourselves Teto Ñatro Ñatro, which means those who speak the language. And we are located in the state of Mexico and in the state of Michoacan. We have a population, according to the 2010 census, of 135,897 Masawa citizens in Mexico. So what we see here is a map. As you can see, there are a couple of states. The first one is the state of Michoacan, and there is a little part of the territory that covers the Masawa territory. And now the largest part belongs to this territory in the state of Mexico. In the state of Mexico, we cover 13 municipalities, which are Almoloya de Juárez, Atlacomulco, El Oro, Ixtapan del Oro, Ixtlahuaca, Ocotitlán, San Felipe del Progreso, San José del Rincón, Donato Guerra, Temascalcingo, Valle de Bravo, Villa de Allende, y Villa Victoria. And finally, in the state of Michoacán, we only have 5 municipalities with Masawa citizens: Angangueo, Ocampo, Susupuato, Tlalpujagua, and Zitácuaro. As you can see here, we have the origin of the Masawas. It's a little confusing because we don't have a clear evidence that shows where we come from. There are 2 hypotheses. One is that the Masawas were part of the 5 tribes that made up Chichimeca migrations to the Valley of Mexico, and we were part of these groups with the Matlatzincas and the Tlahuicas. The Matlatzincas and the Tlahuicas are also located in the state of Mexico. And there is another version that says that the Masawas were one of the Acaloa groups that arrived in the Valley of Mexico on the 12th century, along with the Otomi. as I mentioned before, we are linguistic relatives as well. So basically that's the information that we have. Something important to mention about the Masawas is that the Masawas are not only located in the state of Mexico in Michoacan. There's a lot of migration from the Masawa citizens, and we travel all over the country. There are some Masawas in Torreón, Coahuila. There are Masawas in Guadalajara, Jalisco. There are Masawa groups in San Luis Potosí, Chihuahua, and Querétaro. And Masawas are living in the United States and Canada, especially there are Masawas in New York, and some Masawas are located in California for the most part. So migration is very important. From the ancient times, the Masawas have traveled all over the North America. So that's something very important to bring about, okay? So next slide, please. Well, something that it's important to mention about the Masawas is that a large percentage of the Masawa population performs agricultural labor, mainly painting maize, beans, chili, broad bean, and cereals. The Masawas are knowledgeable about medicinal plants, the human body, and the world in general. We know there are stars such as Venus, the relationship that we have with moon and the oceans and the relationship we have with the animals and everything. So finally, we have the Masawa Cuisine. This is often tied to ritual and its cosmology. We have common foods like corn, squash, pipián sauce, vegetables called quelite. There is a huge variety of quelites, not only one. We have many of them and they are very nutritious. During our parties, important parties, we eat turkey, chicken, mole, and we drink ceremonial beverages such as pulque and sende. Pulque comes from what we call maguey, and sende is a product that the Masawas prepare from corn, basically. So the Masawas have recourse to 3 types of medicine in case of illness. Now, basically in the Masawa communities, we know how to use traditional and domestic medicine. So that's important and very knowledgeable for these people in order to treat the diseases in our family members. Next slide, please. Now, regarding festivities, each Masawa village and town holds its main fiesta or party on the day of its patron saint. There is a ceremonial Masawa sanctuary. In this sanctuary, there is a ceremony is held the first Sunday of each month. Basically, the Masawas get together and ask for the rain, ask for health, and give thanks for that God has provided to their families. And also the Masawas are very skillful with handicrafts. This is a very important Masawa activity. As a result of the COVID-19, the Masawas, the artisans have had a very severe impact on the production of and distribution and sale of their wooden textiles, the pottery, and the basketry. In some areas, some Masawas create brooms and brushes. These are made from Zacatón roots. Some of the important things that I want to bring about in this presentation is that the Masawas are suffering in terms of their language. The language is in danger. Not all the people are willing to speak anymore the language. It's a high percentage of poverty and discrimination. So that's something that is important to bring about. Next slide, please. Okay, here we have the title. It says, there are depending on the region, the monarch, the Masawas refer to the monarch butterflies as shepe or timbaro. Timbaro means a little or small butterfly. As you can see here in the map, the sanctuary of the monarch butterfly is in the limits of the state of Michoacan and the state of Mexico. And it is exactly located in the Masawa region. So it's very interesting how they travel from the United States and Canada, and they finally end up living and taking a rest in the Masawa territory. Next slide, please. As a result of the contact and influence of the monarch butterflies, the Masawas have a strong and a very good relationship with the Masawas. We see that the monarch butterfly is displayed in handicrafts. We have textiles, and we have books written specifically talking about the legends, stories, sanctuaries, and we have a lot of things that are related, have to do with the monarch butterfly. So there's a lot of influence. Next slide, please. Now, for the Masawas, there are two main reasons, or how can I say this? There are, the meaning and the relationship is divided into two important events. The first one is the monarch butterflies are carriers of souls for my culture. In Masawa, we say, Yoshepe unrunuhi omubu yu anima, which means, or it could be interpreted as monarch butterflies as carrier of souls. As you can see here, we have an ofrenda, we have a Masawa woman and some butterflies. Among the forest Masawa communities of central Mexico, the monarchs are believed to be the souls of our ancestors. The monarchs carry the soul of a relative or a friend for one night and return to our world, to the world of the living. They visit us to celebrate the Day of the Dead. The Day of the Dead is held or takes place in the first days of November. During the festivity, people eat traditional corn food. They set up an ofrenda or offering or altar to the ancestors. And we celebrate this important tradition in public places such as churchyards, plazas, and cemeteries. It's very common to find an orange flower known as cempasúchil. So what the Masawa do, the petals of the cempasúchil flower, and we leave them, lay them on the floor. And the intention is to guide our ancestors to the altars, because the color and the fragrance of the flower will be able to guide the souls of our ancestors. So when they arrive here, they have a secure path to follow in order to arrive to our homes. According to some Masawa communities, we ring the bells one month before to call our ancestors, the souls of our ancestors. We ring the bells of the church in the morning and at night. The bells announce, here come the dead. And we call them to visit us on November 2nd. This is how we celebrate our faithful departed. They are the souls of people who have left this world. And believe it or not, or it's just a coincidence, when we celebrate the death of the dead, the Day of the Dead, and the butterflies arrive. So we strongly believe that the things that we do have a positive result, and we are successful when we call them. This celebration is very important for the Masawa because it's something sacred. Our families, our relatives are coming to visit, and our parents, our grandparents, our ancestors say that it's important to welcome them with a tray of water because they are tired and thirsty. So probably in the house, in a Masawa house, you should be able to find. So they stop, they drink water, and they continue their journey. So next slide, please. Well, what you have here is a traditional Masawa ofrenda or altar. It's pretty common to see sugar schools, chocolate schools, cereal schools in markets or in the communities. This is something that we don't do. We only put branches, trees, and flowers. The reason why we don't use schools, sugar schools, chocolate schools, is because our ancestors didn't have any of that. Those things didn't exist back in the day. So we use bread, cempasúchil, flowers, leaves, endemic flowers, and lots of bread, fruits, and pulque. This is something that existed in the ancient times. So another thing that we incorporate in the ofrenda is we bring small candles and big candles. The small candles are intended for children, the souls of children, and the big candles are used for the souls of our adults. We believe, and the reason why we put candles is that the souls use the candles to light up their way back as they live. So the candle, so if you have a big candle and for a child, they won't be able to hold them. So that creates an issue there. So that's basically what we do here as a Masawa. Next slide, please. Now, there is another conception that we have. The first one is they are the souls of our ancestors. The second one is the monarch butterflies are daughters of the sun and harvesters. In Masawa, we say, Yoshepe, Yoshutri, Ohiare, Nengehyo, Yansenjahi. And for the Masawa, there is a strong relationship of the monarch butterfly with the agricultural cycle and the beliefs around the Day of the Dead. These constitute a powerful cultural reason to protect this insect. The arrival of the monarch butterfly coincides with the end of the agricultural cycle in the Masawa territories. This is when the harvest is over. If we understand the monarchs and the connection that they have with our indigenous people and the traditional rituals, specifically around the agricultural season, we should be able to understand how to protect them. In the Masawa territories, the monarch butterflies are known for these reasons. According to ethno-historic records, these traditions are pre-colonial or pre-Hispanic, from pre-Hispanic times. The monarch has been related to the sun god. For the Masawas, the sun is very important because it is the creator and giver of life. This is the main reason why we call them the daughters of the sun. And there is a it says, I'm going to read it because it's anything, but I have it here. It says, from the mouth of the God of creation, the sun appeared every day, and the sun rays during the winter season became butterflies, seeds of the sun, to cover the earth and humans, fertilize the soil and pollinate the flowers, decorate the life and the earth. So this is a text that is very significant, and this is an explanation of how the monarchs in the Masawa territories are prolific, life-giving insects. And finally, the Masawa associate the departure of the monarchs. This is another important thing. We associate the departure of the monarchs when they return to the United States and Canada with the preparation of the soil. It starts the beginning of the spring, and the Masawa territories and the people get ready to prepare the soil and start again with the next agricultural cycle. Now, this is very significant for us. Next slide, please. Well, the next topic is we need to take care of the monarch butterfly. We will see the care and conservation. In Masawa, we say, as you can see here, there is a picture of a tree. So in the Masawa region, people are taught to protect the trees and all the places where the Masawas rest. This is important. If we don't do that, there is a risk that we are in danger, and our community is very conscious about these type of things. Please. Okay, in the Masawa territories, we have some signs on the roads warning drivers to be careful. And the monarch butterfly could decline from 69.2% by 2030 to 96.5% by 2090, according to the recent studies. So the conservation of the monarch butterfly is very interesting. It's something that unites many knowledges and ways of understanding the world. The butterfly is probably one of the most iconic insects across North America, and it covers a lot of our traditional knowledge, our heritage, and it's currently facing survival challenges in the migratory route that takes place from Canada, United States, and Mexico. So we need to be very careful about that, and the Masawas are aware about this situation. Next slide, please. Now, there is a negative part here. I really want to mention this. In Masawa, we say, take care of good people. As you can see here, Homero González Gomez, he was a Mexican environmental activist who fought to protect the wintering grounds of the monarch butterfly, and he was found dead in the western state of Michoacan in January this year, 2 weeks after he disappeared. He was in charge of the El Rosario Butterfly Reserve. On motive for his murder remains unknown, but some people and activists speculate that it could have been related to disputes over illegal logging. This is very serious and very concerning. We need to be very careful, and we need to be aware about environmental defenders, human rights workers, community activists, because it's pretty common, and it's very, I mean, it's something that we don't have to permit this kind of things. They are routinely targeted for their work. Their work is very important. It's so important that it's against interests of criminal organizations who run illegal activities. So we can change all of these. We need to get together as a society, you know, the indigenous communities, authorities, the nations, in order to prevent these things from happening. We can change things. Some people who run illegal activities say, well, it's not up to me. I have no other options. Yes, there are options. Just for your reference, Homero was born into a logging family. And during an interview, he said that he didn't want to stop logging because that was the way he had an income. And he thought that if he stopped logging, he would send his family into poverty. But he decided, he made his decision, and he was convinced, and he changed. And based on his work, he eventually convinced others to abandon logging and protect the butterfly habitats instead. shortly, sorry, he found out that tourism eventually replaced the lost income. He was, his activity was about cutting down trees. So he didn't do that anymore. So now this sanctuary is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and federal law outlaws logging in the site. So basically, this is what I have to say about Homero Gonzalez Gomez. We need justice for all these people who work really hard to protect our Mother Earth and on the Masawa territories. Next slide, please. Well, in Masawa, we say Pokku Lapunku. Thank you very much. As you can see here, I have a photograph of my mom and my grandmother, and the Masawa language is the temple where the souls live. Thank you for all of them who provided me with education, the language, and the culture. Thank you.
Excellent, Jose. Thank you so much. That was very inspiring, very informative. It brings in a lot of different points that we are talking about in conservation, not only the science part, but the traditional knowledge and acknowledging the indigenous nations and tribes throughout all of Turtle Island. And you also bring up a very important point about social justice and protecting the protectors of water, of land, of butterflies, of forests. Thank you so much for the presentation. I see a lot of excitement in the chat, a lot of people really congratulating you. And I'm privileged and very happy that you were part of this session. Thank you, otra vez, Jose, muchas gracias. I want to let everybody know that the intention of this session was to share precisely beyond just the scientific or conservation issues of the monarch butterfly, but add a lot of the depth in knowledge that exists in this land throughout centuries. We were very excited to organize this meeting and to promote it in 3 countries throughout North America. But within and around those 3 countries, we absolutely acknowledge all of the indigenous nations, tribes, First Nations, First Peoples of the continent, the original inhabitants of this continent, and thanks to whom we still have those forests, those waterflies, those rivers, and the stewardship of this land. So thank you for this presentation, for being the perfect example of what really a whole work and effort of conservation goes beyond. We really appreciate your knowledge and your sharing, Jose. Thank you. Everybody, just so you know, this is a session of 90 minutes, so we still have some time, and we will have time at the end for your questions. So if you have them, please save your questions, or you can write them in the chat. We will try to keep track of the chat. But next, I'm going to introduce Maria Eugenia Gonzalez. She's a biologist and president of Ecosistemica, a regional conservation group in central Mexico. She's also the president of the Monarch Butterfly Monitoring Network, which brings in knowledge and people from all over Mexico throughout the monarch migration corridor and collects information about that. We're very happy to have Maria Eugenia here with us, and it's all you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sergio, and hi. It's a pleasure to be here and share with you a little of our work with monarchs, but also with other species. And thanks to Haley for Endangered Species Coalition and Sergio Avila from Tierra Club for invite me, and all the people who makes this possible. And of course, for all the people that are listening now. Today, I'm going to talk about monarch butterflies, flowers, and people in the context of migration in Mexico. And the next slide, please. And some keys or some values that we are learn in our work are those that you can see here. And I'm going to develop my presentation with this word, with these values, with this case. And the next slide. The first word is alive, vive, and all the species in the world complete a life cycle, and with different time and processes, but in general we have stages in common, such as babies, children, youths, and adults, more adults, and then new generations arrive. And well, for some species, one of their life processes sometimes means migrate, and many of us probably have been migrants or at some point of our lives, and we can understand a little of monarchs and other species. Migration have different biological and cultural meanings, and as well as we'll see in future presentations. But the monarch, for the monarch, this was developed as part of their adaptive and evolutionary process, and related with weather and climate and diet and other factors. And all the species, we are product of this adaptation and evolution. But and our work, we have participated with many people, with many institutions in Mexico and from other countries in monitoring the migration of monarchs through citizen science tools, or with some researchers who are making some projects about the migration, the diet, and the other things that are the monarchs in dangers, in a situation of danger. And well, we have many dates, many information, many maps that we can analyze, and we can make different efforts in order to protect this species, but also other kind of species that are related with monarchs. And the next slide, please. The next word is come saludable, eat healthy. And during the migration of butterflies in Mexico, they need to drink nectar or have a lot of flowers of native species that we have, and in order to obtain energy and complete their journey. They can use native plants, but also others that are not native. But something important is that many people are helping to create space, little spaces, pollinator gardens for this monarch butterfly, but also for bees, for other kind of butterflies or moths, and for sometimes for this kind of species too, for bats, because all are important for us. And when we are helping to one species, we probably can do more for other species. So also we are interested, and we are working in restoring some areas, some natural areas, as you can see in the photo. These are some kind of species of plants that monarchs visit during the migration. They are native species of Mexico, and we know that some of the species more important for them are the composite plants, like cosmos that you can see here, titonias, other called videns, and many kind of salvias, and some leguminous plants like mesquites that you can see here. And of course, many of us, we are working in environmental education and diffusion about our close relationship with pollinators like butterflies. And because thanks to their pollination activity, we can obtain more than 50% of all of the products in our feeding, like fruits, vegetables, seeds, spices, extracts, medicines, and various materials that we are using in countless activities. And also we need to know more about our food. We need to know if our food, where come from, and if it's more organic, or if our fruits have more chemicals than we need. And the next slide, please. The other word or value is rest, descansa. And during the migration, the monarch needs to rest by the night, or when the weather conditions are not suitable for flight. And we have seen that they use native trees, but also no native trees. They use all kind of trees. And sometimes they can rest in preserved areas, but sometimes they sleep beside the just outside of roads, and almost always they sleep in groups. But when they arrive in autumn and winter, but in the return in spring, they sometimes sleep alone. We don't know why. Some researchers are studying that. And well, the monitoring of migration is more easy in winter and autumn, because you can see easily, because they come in high number of them. But in spring, it's more difficult to follow the migration, because they have a kind of different conducta. Sorry. But we have some data that are collected thanks to many citizen science who are helping to us to obtain information about this. And it's very common that they arrive at the same trees each year, which is amazing, because they never have been there before. But and some people are studying this phenomenon because it's amazing, and we hope have more information shortly. And almost of this information have been obtained by Naturalista. We have a project, and you can participate if you are in Mexico or in Estados Unidos. You can make your report about if you see some tree with monarchs, and you can help to obtain more information about where they are sleeping during the migration. In the winter, the monarchs spend a lot of time resting in oyamel trees in Michoacán and Estado de Mexico, as Jose said. And when it's time to come back to their north territories, they start to mate and flying during the days, and the rest of the night they sleep. And some of us, we are trying to put some signals that you can see in the slide to protect these trees. So we are interested in care of their beds or hotels or motel trees. The next slide. And the next word is share. And share is a common thing. We share good things and bad things too. All the species, we are sharing a planet, our resources, our food, but also some challenges like climatic change, a loss of biodiversity, and pandemics like today. But so we are very close, and we have a relationship so close with animals, plants, water, soil, and it's important to know that and make something to help us, because when we are help the other organisms, we are helping to us too. And monarch also share with other species resources. As you can see in the slide, some monarchs are feeding with other kind of butterflies, but also with bees, bumblebees, or different species that live in that areas where they are feeding during migration. And they also share trees where they sleep, because sometimes we have been monitoring, and we can see that monarchs and queens are living in the same branches or in the same tree. So they share their resources all the time as us. But unfortunately, we have some negative things to say, and one is that we are destroying our natural habitats, and so we are trying to protect natural spaces, protected areas in Mexico. But also many people are creating gardens, pollinator gardens in their schools, in their homes, in their streets, parks, like you can see. And in these activities, all the people are participating. Childs, adults, students, teachers, everybody, it's happy to participate, and this is great, because in that way we can improve our environment a little. And we also share some of efforts to monitoring with other people and with other institutions, and in Mexico, but also with people in Canada and in Estados Unidos. And we share information. As you can see in the slide, this is a butterfly with a tag. If you know, in United States exists a program of tagging monarchs, and in Mexico, many people are monitoring and reporting when they can see some of these butterflies. So this can give us more information about the time, about the time and the places where they are crossing in immigration. So this is important for their conservation too. Next slide. Well, this is about aprender, and many of us are learning about monarch butterflies, pollinators, flowers, and other species, but at the same time we are learning about human values, like the ones I have mentioned. And citizens are helping a lot, creating and carrying gardens, spreading information with other people, and with the help of researchers, students, and volunteers, we can make a difference in nature, but also as people. And in this slide, you can see all kind of people that it's working on that, and they help us to obtain information that we can share with you, but with all the people that need it. And in the following map, the next slide, please, we can see the migration, how it looks, the migration of monarch in Mexico. This information was obtained thanks to WWF and all these institutions that you can see in the slide. And you can see these spots that are the points where the people are monitoring monarchs since 20 years ago. And so this information is on internet in the page of Correo Real. And it's an effort of many people. So it's very interesting to know where they are, but you can see that they are in all the states of Mexico, but the migration route, it's very clear in the east of the country, but we need to obtain more information about the west. We don't know exactly what happened in that area. And for what is important to learn and obtain information, because as the famous phrase of says, we cannot protect and love what we don't know. So we need to obtain more information for understand and for love and for care many species like monarch butterflies. And the next slide. The next, well, this is an example too about the pollinator gardens. We are creating many kind of pollinator gardens, small or big gardens with students, with teachers, with private institutions, and we are using many kind of plants. We try to use native plants, but it's complicated because we don't have enough nurseries of native plants in Mexico, but we are trying to do this and work with states, and they are very interested in create native nurseries, nurseries of native plants in their states. And this is going to help us to create these spaces that are important for pollinators in general. Next slide. Now be brave. And maybe we can think that monarch it's a fragile organism, but we can learn about that even they are small. They have two pair of fragile wings, and they have a brave heart, or probably they have high resilient, or just are animals very adaptive and resilient. And I think that all the migrant species, even humans, should share these characteristics for make these kind of migrations. And sometimes some of them cannot reach at the end of their trip, as you can see in the photo. Some butterflies some die in the highways, and some people like Homero, as Jose said, they are not here now, and it was due to a injustice cause. But important is know it, and if we are here, we are working. We need to work in and continue the work that these people was doing, and protect the species, the forest, and the resources. And the next slide. Well, it's enjoy. It's the happy part of this, because appreciate nature give us the feeling to feel enjoy when we are creating pollinator gardens, when we are making environmental education, when we are collecting information of the monitorings. And all these tasks are more easy because we know that we are helping to these species, and we really enjoy. I'm sure that it's a feeling that all of us share because we are here. And well, finally, the next slide. It's love nature, ama la naturaleza, and it's a necessity in these days to be more close of nature, or of our natural resources, in order to protect them and protect our own species. So the next slide, I think that I have one more. This is some logos of some organizations in Mexico that we are working on protect and create space, some environmental education with people about monarch, but also pollinators, about natural protected areas. And there are not all, but are an example of how many institutions and how many people are participating in this. in this work. The next. And well, this little child make a beautiful draw, and she can make a synthesis of all my speech, because you can see a plant and an animal, a butterfly, and people, and this is the importance of our work. And thanks, and I hope you can understand me. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugenia. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Very interesting to see what's happening throughout Mexico. And honestly, some of the best part is just seeing all those kids having fun. I like seeing the adults working, but I think it's very important to see the adults having fun. Yes. Thanks everyone for your comments on the chat. Thank you for sticking with us. We are very close. My presentation will only last 3 hours, and videos and documentaries, now I will make it very quickly. Thank you all for being here. That's me, Sergio Avila. I am a wildlife biologist. I have the pleasure of working at Sierra Club. I am located in Tucson, Arizona, and I am originally from Central Mexico. I was born in Mexico City and migrated to Zacatecas, and then migrated to Arizona. So I am also a migrant. I am also somebody who comes from another place and he came here to find a home. So we'll get started with my short presentation. Haley, please, next, please. My contact information for those interested, I wanted to share how wonderful the presentations from Jose and Eugenia have been in sharing a lot of the importance and connection of butterflies throughout the country and throughout North America. I also want to say and acknowledge that this is not limited to North America, that we acknowledge our brothers and sisters and people migrating from Central America, from South America, who migrate today or who have migrated for many, many years, so centuries. So just want to acknowledge that this is not exclusive of North America. Next one, please, Haley. And I'm here to tell you about this travel of migration and why did we call this migration is natural. As you have seen in the presentations before, this is a natural phenomenon. This is a natural movement that animals feel that they need to do at some point. The next one, please, Haley. And they might move in big numbers or they might move on small numbers. Here, I'm showing you a photograph that is not about the deer, but notice all the little orange spots traveling through these lands. It's an arroyo in Sonora, Mexico. And this is a place where the landowner is taking care of deer, of mountain lions, of jaguars, of water, feeding his cows, and also clearly benefiting monarch butterflies. So the movement, the natural movement of butterflies and the work that we can do to help them in every step benefits many other species. Next one, please, Haley. And here we can see a map of that migration as it has been described before. You can see in central Mexico in yellow, all the way to the bottom, there's a circle. That's where the Monarch Butterfly Biosphere Reserve is. And it is no coincidence that those are the homelands of Jose and Jose's people, the Masawa. So they are closely connected and so connected that the Mexican government acknowledged that this is a place to protect and created a biosphere reserve. You can see also through the arrows that they travel through Texas, the Midwest, all the way to Canada, and they get there in the spring, and they then come back into Mexico in the fall, in the white arrows. But on the west side, or on the left side of your screen, you see smaller migrations, smaller movements that might be just around western states in the United States, and some of them coming to Baja California and Sonora. What's important about this map also is that this same map is the map and the movements that people have followed for millennia to migrate. Migration is a natural movement of animals that happens seasonally, and it is these animals looking for the resources to live, to survive, to thrive, and especially to help the future, the next generation. Next one, please, Haley. So through migration, these different animals, for example, monarch butterflies, whales are migrants, bats, hummingbirds, even cranes, sandhill cranes we get here in Arizona from the north. All these animals migrate to adapt to the seasons and get to a place that has much better resources and conditions for them to survive. The conditions that we're looking for, the next one please, Haley, are the same thing that Eugenia just mentioned. It is water, it is food, it's a place to rest, it's a place to share, it's a place to learn, to be brave, and those places where butterflies come are also places where people can gather together and learn and share from them and create that love for nature that Eugenia was talking about. Next one, Haley, please. What's important here is that those movements of butterflies, that beautiful butterfly with orange wings and white on the edge of the tips. Notice how monarchs don't have white in the inside of the wings. This movement has happened for many years, so much so that people identify with this movement. Next one, please. So many of us, many migrants, many communities identify themselves as travelers, as seasonal travelers in all of these different countries and nations. And monarch butterflies are a symbol of those migrants crossing borders, borders that did not exist before because nature has no borders, and going to find all those resources for their families, for their present and future generations. Next one, Haley, please. That identification with butterflies is very easy to see. As soon as children get an opportunity to be a butterfly, everybody will play with it. Next, please. And it is a great opportunity to connect not only with monarch butterflies, but what work we do to help monarch butterflies, what gardens we create to offer food and water for monarchs benefits other butterflies. And the same thing happens with people. When we work to benefit, when we work to protect, when we work to support people in need, we benefit everybody. Those are gardens that benefit everybody who comes in contact with them. So a little bit of help helps everyone. Next one, please. This is a similar slide as the one Eugenia showed about the monarch butterfly life cycle. And it starts with the adults on the top that lay eggs in a plant on the right, and then they turn into a caterpillar. This is kind of boring. Haley, let's do something different. I love it that we all invite, I love that Eugenia invited her puppets to talk about this. So I invited my friend, this is a monarch butterfly caterpillar. You can see the normal colors. This caterpillar is born in a milkweed plant where tiny, tiny little eggs were deposited by a mother, by a female monarch. So this caterpillar is basically like a baby stage where they only eat and poop. A little help helps everyone, that's right. So they eat and poop all day, and then they just grow and grow and grow and grow to the degree that they might eat all the leaves in your plant. But what happens after that, after about 5 weeks of them growing, is that they go into a different stage. And so they are getting a little bit sleepy. They are getting ready for their metamorphosis. And so that caterpillar turns into a chrysalis that you can see here. I have it upside down. So this is the chrysalis of a monarch butterfly. It is a green sleeping bag, and they have a little yellow line here. That's why they are called monarchs, because it's like a crown. And basically what they do is they go to sleep in this sleeping bag that hangs from a branch. So you might see these hanging in your pots, in the wall, and a couple weeks later, the most wonderful metamorphosis happens that goes from that chrysalis to an adult monarch butterfly. And when they emerge from their chrysalis, their wings are hanging down because they are wet and they're not strong enough. So they need to do a little bit of exercise, like everybody has to do a little exercise, like little birds in a nest. They have to do some exercise so then they can go and travel around and visit each one of you wherever you are watching now. Thank you, Haley. So that is a story of the puppet and the life cycle of the monarch butterfly. Let's do the next one. This one is too boring. And here you can see very quickly how in the same place on the top, you have the caterpillar turning into a chrysalis, and then the next one is the actual chrysalis. In the bottom, you see the red branch, and you can see how that caterpillar turned into chrysalis. Next one, please. And similar to that, humans go not only through migration, but we go through a life cycle. We grow, we eat, we poop, we grow, we transform, and we emerge as butterflies, inspiring many other little butterflies on those travels to be brave, to be strong. Next, please. These butterflies, again, are a symbol of the migrants, are a symbol of the struggle, current and historic struggle traveling. So we created this session to connect our migrants, brothers and sisters, to tell you that we all belong as migrants, that nature has no borders, and your travels are natural movements that many generations have done, and that thanks to what you do, new generations, future generations will arrive to look for those resources of water and rest and other. Do we have another one? Okay. Well, with that, I end my part of the presentation. I don't want to forget thanking everyone for being here. We will have a little time for questions, but I wanted to mention our sponsors today. Thank very strongly the Endangered Species Coalition, Haley, who has been running our presentation and pretty much put all the work to have this session. I also want to acknowledge and thank Green Latinos for their support, especially for having the interpretation. Thank you, Susan, for the interpretation. And acknowledge and thank Ecosistemica and Eugenia and her work there, and Jose and Mi Universo Masawa for your wonderful presentation, and also Sierra Club as one of the sponsors of this organization. I know that Haley and Ian have something to say, but I will be paying attention to the chat. Please write your questions if you have them, and I'll be ready to address those. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sergio. I'm a little overwhelmed just by the amazing presentations. I learned, like, I didn't know that monarchs were called that because of the chrysalis on the top. Like, that is so amazing. And to learn so much about the Mazahua people and Eugenia's work, I mean, it's just all amazing. But I think one thing that I wanted to take just a very quick moment to say is the organization I work with is the Endangered Species Coalition, and it was really important to us to be part of Latino Conservation Week and to be part of this event because, you know, although we mostly work on wildlife and, you know, one reason why the monarch butterfly is so important to us is because their numbers are declining drastically. They've declined, depending on what area the monarchs are, they've declined by over 80% in the West. Suppose that they say that they've declined by over 99%. So we're really concerned about them, and they've been listed to be put on the endangered species list in the United States. That happened in 2014, and they have yet to receive any type of protections. And so we're very concerned about them. But in addition to that, we wanted to do this event because we see the direct link between justice for people of color and justice for the natural environment. And in the North American conservation movement, it was built on a foundation of racism and exclusion, which continues to this day. And, you know, I'm based in Colorado, and where I live, I'm sitting on land that was stolen by the Ute, Arapaho, and Cheyenne nations, as well as countless other unnamed nations that were here before white settlers. And the systems that drive exploitation and conquest emerge from the same seed. So whether they relate to people, land, water, wildlife, it all comes from the same mentality of colonialism. And just as we fight every day to protect wilderness, wildlife, and to fight for a livable climate, we must also fight against racial injustice and against a society that perpetuates ongoing daily inequalities, discrimination, and oppression. And as an organization, we support Black Lives Matter. We support justice for George Floyd and the countless other people of color that have been killed by police violence. And we oppose Trump's racist border wall for the people that it separates and for the wildlife that it separates. So we're all losing with these really bad politics. And the last thing I'll say is we want the work that we do to protect natural areas and ensure healthy communities and climate resilience for all people and all species. And we can't have justice without a healthy environment, and we can't have a healthy environment without justice. And so that's why we're here tonight. And again, another huge thank you to our speakers. I have goosebumps. I'm feeling very inspired. So thank you very much.
Wonderful, Haley. Thank you. And Ian?
Haley, would you mind doing me a favor and put me back on screen? I do want to start by acknowledging this amazing piece of art here that was shared with us by members of ours, Yoselin Rioja. So go online, check out their Instagram. They have amazing other pieces of work there. I'm going to start when we talk about reclaiming, and I think that this is a really interesting component about reclaiming our own histories. In particular, when you're Latino, Indigenous, myself, I'm going to practice. I've been reclaiming my own language of Jicarilla Apache. And my people and my ancestors, they come from what are now called the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, along the headwaters of the Rio Grande and into the plains where these butterflies are from. And so I'm just going to go ahead and practice a little here with you. Nanjo, Shien Thomas Tafoya Shine, Dudende, Duelero. Hola, me llamo Essien Thomas Tafoya. Soy de Denver. Soy Apache y Olero. Hi, my name is Ian Thomas Savoya, and I am Jicarilla Apache. They are known as the Dende, or the people, and I am from the Olero, or the White Clan, the protectors of the animals. And I couldn't be more happy today to be giving this speech about the importance of butterflies. You know, the butterflies, much like many of our other animal relatives, are showing us just how bad the suffering of the planet has become. When we see the collapse of these ancient species that have been able to range in the oceans and range across the land for so long, it's a wake-up sign to us all. It's important because we walk with our ancestors. Much like we heard earlier, my ancestors have many stories about butterflies. In fact, they often say that it's because of the butterflies that we have color. That there was once a large butterfly and that butterfly gave its life to spread color and more smaller butterflies for us all to enjoy. I sometimes think about what that means for them coming in the spring and butterflies being a symbol of color, a symbol of life, a symbol of change. I think we're in the midst of a huge change in our society. And I think this conversation about butterflies can be great for us all. You know, when we talk about pesticides, I want to make sure that we understand that these pesticides also protect not just pollinators, but workers and consumers. My grandmother was a picker in the fields and died of lung cancer, never smoked in her life. We have a lot of work to do, but when we protect the animals, we protect ourselves. When we support the animals, we support ourselves. I'm a horticultural therapist and a healer, and I know how to make many, many medicines. And I can tell you that if you plant for the butterflies, it will help your own psychology. It will bring balance back to this cycle, and it will improve the ecology. And when we plant native plants, it improves our water quality. So I'm committing to you today that I'm going to do my best, and I invite all of you to plant in the fall, to plant in the spring, to support the butterflies who are not just the monarch butterflies, but all the pollinators in your community. And I just want to close by saying I really, it breaks my heart to hear about Homero Gomez Gonzalez. It's a privilege in some ways to be in the United States and to be a very active and aggressive environmentalist and conservationist. And I acknowledge that throughout this world, there are animal protectors, water protectors who are losing their lives. In fact, I recently was hiking to an illegal road cutting in the mountains of Colorado by a coal company. And I was driven up on suddenly by a person on an ATV. And I was probably never more scared in my life. I thought, this is it, here in the backwoods, like they do them in South America and Central America. Unfortunately for me, that was not the case. I am going to make it an effort of mine to continue to raise the voice of Romero. Justice for Romero. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ian, for that heartfelt closing. Very, very appreciated. Absolutely, I think it's very important that we address and acknowledge our privilege in this work and the struggle. Some of us get paid to do this work. Some people do it and are defending their water and are defending their land without getting paid. And they are the ones getting killed. So absolutely agree in elevating both environmental justice and social justice. They are not separated. We will help fix a lot of the problems and challenges when we finally address both together. I feel lucky and privileged to have been part of this session with you all. Very quickly, been keeping an eye on the chat. Everybody, thank you so much for your positive feedback, for your comments. I've been sharing everybody's email. If you're interested, please know that if you want to see the recording of this, you can email me, you can email Haley or Ian, and we will have the link. And please continue supporting your local community, continue supporting your local NGOs, bring in your own interests, bring in your own expertise, create a garden. If you cannot go to nature to go enjoy them, you can invite nature to come and visit you. I planted 2 plants of milkweed in my yard here in Tucson, Arizona. And since I did, every year I have the whole miracle of the butterfly metamorphosis in my front yard, which is another privilege. Thank you so much. We are closing this session. Thank you, Haley. Thank you to the Endangered Species Coalition. Thank you, Ian of Green Latinos. Thank you, Eugenia of Ecosistemica. Gracias, Jose de Universo Masawa. Wonderful, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here representing Sierra Club, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan.
Yes, gracias, Susan.
Gracias, Susan.
Gracias a todos. Thank you.
Thank all of you too. It was very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, everyone, for all your support.
Haley, you want to stop your recording so I can say what I'm thinking? No, I'm kidding.
Live stream, because you might still be live streaming.